Hello everyone, and welcome back. As now for the 105th episode I will analyze none other than Tyrion Lannister, one of the main protagonists in the Game of Thrones. A small man of stature with a bigger heart than most others around him, Tyrion Lannister could be viewed in many ways as a perfect representation of what prejudice people of small stature endure, just like into our world. And in this episode, I'm going to analyze all that we know about him throughout the books and the series, to understand Tyrion Lannister and how and why he is so different from the others. And now, let's begin. Tyrion Lannister was born in the year 265 AC in Castle Rock in Westerlands, as the youngest child of Lord Tywin Lannister and as the younger brother of Cersei and Jaime Lannister, and from birth he was born with a condition known as dwarfism, which causes him to be a man of small stature for his entire life. However, while his stature might be small, both his intellect and his heart are much bigger than the others, as despite the fact that he was treated with nepotism and with pretty much neglect most of his life, especially by his father, he eventually managed to develop a good sense of empathy towards other people. But of course, growing older and older, he of course felt mostly overshadowed by his siblings, who were seen mostly as the celebrities of his house. And eventually his sister Cersei married with Robert Barrington and gave her a son, Joseph Barrington, his nephew, who was all horrible and abusive towards him, much like his mother. And so, because of this, Natai had little to no love whatsoever inside his own family, and very few friends that he made throughout his life, including with Sansa Stark, who he often tried to protect from his nephew. And now, circa around 300 AC, he officially Robert Barrington died, and his nephew Joffrey became the next king of Westeros and the new lord of the Seven Kingdoms. And because of this, he officially was often target for humiliation and abuse by his nephew. And while he was not outright killed by him, he was still pretty much humiliated, swear, cursed, and insulted by him and his mother, as well as his grandfather. But he came to connect with one person inside King's Landing, Sansa Stark, Joffrey's supposed wife, who he abused and humiliated at every corner. And because of this, he eventually, Tyrion managed to officially marry with Sansa himself in order to save her from his nephew's abuse. Only, however, that they were not romantically involved at all. He only did so in order to protect her, as he himself had already a love interest, and she was allowed to pursue any love she wants. And now, things officially got complicated when his nephew Joffrey was officially poisoned, and he took the blame for the murder, causing Tyrion to officially be imprisoned and eventually even sentenced to death for his supposed crime. And his sister took over the Iron Throne and became the next ruler of the Seven Kingdoms, and ruled them with an iron fist even much worse than his nephew. And meanwhile, Tyrion managed to escape and officially managed to team up with other like-minded individuals, specifically Jon Snow from the north, who led the Night Watch and is the Night King, and Daenerys Targaryen, the last princess of the Targaryen dynasty, who wants to reclaim the Iron Throne and restore back her family to power. And now, before we continue, we will stop and ask ourselves: is Tyrion good? And the reason I'm asking this is while it's understandable that he's a good person, the rest of his family are absolutely not. As his father was a diabolical old man who only wanted power, his sister and brother were also pretty much similar, especially that they were both incestuous, and his nephew Joffrey is nothing short of a pure evil psychopath. However, Tyrion is the only member of his family to actually have a great intellect and sense of empathy towards others, especially due to the fact that while he is not evil and corrupt, and while he himself is not perfect, he still is far more benevolent than his entire family combined. And not to mention that his short stature only show that he has a big heart and a bigger brain, and thus proving the answer is ultimately yes. Tyrion is a good person and he genuinely cares about others. And at the end, after Cersei destroyed King's Landing and killed Cersei Lannister, and eventually these actions led to the destruction of the Iron Throne, as well as Daenerys being killed by Jon Snow to end her tyranny. And afterwards, he and Jon parted ways, given that Jon returned back to the north. Tyrion now became the sole member of the House Lannister, and thus now the Lord of Castle Rock, and he proceeds to officially try to reform the small council to create the best of Westeros. So in the end, who is Tyrion Lannister? He is nothing more but a simple man who was born with a rare condition that he will carry on to the rest of his life. A man that will be defined by immense intellect and empathy towards others around him, and will carve his own path among a seemingly uncaring world, as well as his horrible family. And a man that could easily be called as one of the best examples that no matter what, you choose your own destiny. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give a like and subscribe, and have a nice day.
But I promise you one thing, my lady. I won't ever hurt you. Do you drink wine?
When I have to.
Well, today you have to.